Hi guys, it's Hailey. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have my review on Scream 5, the latest installment of the Scream franchise. So first and foremost, before I get talking too much, I do want to mention the fact I did just get off work and it is kind of late at night, so don't be surprised if I'm getting a little tongue-tied and just tripping on my words. I feel like that's a common theme when I film late night videos, but I really did want to push this out pretty soon just because this is Wednesday night when I'm filming this. I officially saw Scream last Thursday, so it'll be a week, hopefully, me uploading this. I wanted to post it within the week while it's still fresh and new and relevant. So let's get on to the actual video. So first of all, I am going to be dividing this video into two different parts. Part one is going to be the spoiler-free review of Scream, and then the second portion will be my spoiler-including review. So before I get to that, I will tell you guys that I'm getting to the spoiler portion, so you can sign off if you have not already seen Scream and want to see it or just don't want it spoiled. So, and then you can come back to the rest of the video later. Most of my main thoughts and bullet points will be in the first portion of the video, so don't feel like you're missing too much from leaving or anything. But I definitely feel like there are some really important spoilers to talk about while doing a review of this that I just can't avoid. So, number one, why am I saying number one? I feel like I'm making the list videos. It's not a list. Whenever I do a review video, I never know whether or not to say if I don't like the movie or like the movie initially at first. I'm like, do I wait until the end of the video to reveal that, or do I say it right away? Either way, I feel like most videos people make, you can already tell their attitude towards the movie in the first minute anyways. So I'm just gonna start with my initial rating of the movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I feel like everyone actually really liked this movie. I did really well. And one thing I want to say is, although I liked it, I almost feel like I didn't like it as much as everyone else at the same time. A lot of people were saying the movie was flawless and perfect, and I do disagree. There were some things I didn't like about it, but overall, I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I just didn't love it, I guess is what I will say. So my review, I give it a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10, which I think is decently high for a reboot slash add-on to a franchise, especially nowadays. Usually they just get shittier and shittier, so it's pretty high. It did have some things I didn't like, which I will touch on in a few minutes, but overall, I did really enjoy the movie. I left the theater with a feeling of satisfaction for the most part, which I'm not gonna lie, most time that I see horror movies in theaters, I'm kind of disappointed initially. When the movie ends, I'm already that felt dumb or a waste of my time, and this definitely didn't. But I will say it did not live up to all that I wanted it to be 100%. And that reason is just, I didn't like the ending that much. I guess, before the movie even started, I already had an idea of who I thought Ghostface would be and who I wanted it to be, and it wasn't. And although the ending not being what I wanted it to be is not enough to ruin the movie for me, it wasn't all that I wanted it to be because of that. Which I'll get into in the spoiler portion who I thought that Ghostface was, because I feel like if I say it now, then that could potentially spoil the movie for you, or when you watch it, you'll be like, oh, well, it's definitely not him then. Some things that I really liked about the movie, though, I really liked the nostalgic feel that it gave. I feel like it just kept, bringing you back to Scream 1, and it had a very similar feeling to watching this movie that I got when I watched Scream 1, which is a lot to say for a reboot. It's definitely a lot to say. Whenever a reboot comes out of, one of my favorite horror movies, or, a franchise that I love, I'm always a little bit nervous going into it. And this one I was a little nervous for, I'm not gonna lie, but I also was really confident. For some reason, I just had a feeling I was gonna like it, and that feeling was right. I really enjoyed it. I liked how much the movie poked fun at itself, which, very similar to Scream 1. Scream 1 just pokes fun at the horror genre in general. And this does too, but I find that this pokes fun at reboot culture a lot more, which felt really fun. It was very self-aware, and just witty and funny, which is something I definitely seek out in a Scream movie. It made me laugh, and it definitely made me emotional at certain parts too, and made me sad. So definitely things that you want in a franchise that you so dearly love. The characters in the movie were okay. I'm not gonna say they were perfect. They definitely weren't as fun as the characters from the first Scream, which, you know, maybe take my opinion with a grain of salt. I'm gonna say something that might make you even be like, oh, well, I don't trust your opinion in general. Out of all of the Scream franchise, I personally like Scream 1 and 4 the best. A lot of people hate Scream 4 and think it's really cheesy, just bad in general. And although I do agree that it's cheesy, I think it's just such a fun movie. And honestly, the characters in this movie were the characters that I liked almost as much as the characters in the original Scream. Not quite as much, but I liked them a lot. So I feel like this movie didn't hold up as strongly to that, in my opinion, but Scream 5 also ranked as my third favorite in the Scream franchise. I like 1 and 4 the best, and then Scream 5. So that's pretty high up there, and I think it was very enjoyable. And I was honestly on the edge of my seat a little bit more for this one than any of the other ones besides Scream 1. I found the whole time I was watching it, I was very invested in trying to figure out who Ghostface was, and that made the movie a lot of fun. More than anything, the movie was just one of the most fun movies I've seen in a long time in theaters. I went and saw it with my boyfriend Adrian, and we just had such a good time the entire time. Like, we were kind of whispering to each other, like, certain things that we caught. Like, the movie's just full of Easter eggs and, you know, full of just, like, nostalgic bullet points from the first Scream. And both of us were trying to figure out who Ghostface was. And, honestly, I think that's where my disappointment came from a little bit, is both him and I had a very solid idea for who would have been Ghostface that I think may have been a little bit better than who Ghostface was, but that's okay. The main thing I, really, really enjoyed about Scream was I liked seeing the new characters mesh with the old characters. The new characters definitely overshun the old characters. Like, it was more about them, for sure. It definitely felt that way, but I feel like they mixed nicely together. And like I said, although I wasn't a big fan of the new characters as much as like Scream 4 or anything, it was just so nice to see Sydney and Gail and Dewey back. Like, I feel like that was my favorite part, of course, was getting to see, like, I love Neve Campbell a lot. So that was really, really great. And just seeing a new Scream movie in theaters was outstanding. I have not seen any of the Scream movies in theaters before besides one. I saw Scream 1. Why am I saying Scream 1? Scream. I saw the original Scream in theaters last year. They were replaying it at the Alamo, which was a lot of fun, but I already saw it. Like, I've seen it before. So watching a Scream movie for the first time in theaters was an experience unlike anything else. Scream is one of my favorite movies. So that was definitely the best part, and that I actually liked it. It didn't suck. That was cool too. My last gripe that I really had with it was I feel like a couple things, mainly one thing that I can think of happened that I just don't really think would have been possible. And I typically am not that person that runs through horror movies with a fine-tooth comb trying to find anything that's not realistic. But this just really stuck out to me, and every single time I go back to the movie, I think of this fact. And I will say it on the next portion of the video because I feel like it's a spoiler. So, but that being said, errors in movies usually, or like plot holes, aren't enough to destroy a movie for me at all. Sometimes it makes them kind of funny or fun, but they're never enough to destroy them for me. Horror movies are supposed to be fun, and at the end of the day, I think that you could probably go through any horror movie and find like something that doesn't make sense or something that's a little bit off. So I really hope that my explanation in this portion of the video wasn't too vague and you get what I mean when talking about it. I'm sorry if you have not seen Scream yet and we're kind of confused by certain things I'm talking about. Please watch the full video once you're done watching Scream. I would love to talk about Scream with you guys. So that's really all I have to say in my initial spoiler-free review. Point blank, I really liked it. I enjoyed it a lot, and it was a good movie. It was one of the better installments of a franchise that we've had in a long time. So I definitely left the theater not, disappointed. I felt better from this movie than I did from any of the newer Saw movies like Jigsaw or Spiral. So that's a lot to say. And Saw is my favorite franchise besides Scream. So I feel like this definitely held pretty well. This concludes my spoiler-free review of Scream 5. If you have not seen Scream and you don't want it to be spoiled, please sign off now. Scream 5, I said Scream. If you have not seen Scream 5, sign off now, unless you don't care about spoilers. I'll give you a couple seconds, and then I'm going to get onto the spoilers. Okay, you gone? Everyone should be gone. So, on to the spoiler portion of the review. I want to get into some things that made me emotional. Like I said, I liked Scream because it made me emotional for certain parts, and it made me laugh, which are two things that I really like in movies. Biggest thing we got, when I said emotional, y'all knew what I meant if you saw Scream. When they killed Dewey off, I was shook to my core. Like, I think everyone was. Going into this movie, I literally said to myself, they're not going to kill off one of the three. Like, they're not going to kill Gail, Dewey, or Sydney. They've made it through every single Scream movie. They're not going to kill them off. So the fact they killed him off was really surprising and also very emotional. Like, I had tears in my eyes as he was dying on screen. It was really sad, but it was also really cool. I hate to be that person, but it's so true. It's such a cliche. When they kill off one of your favorite characters in a movie or a show even, it hurts so good. It hurt, like, you want to feel that hurt, kind of. Like, I don't know. And it did. It really hurt so good, especially when Ghostface says it was an honor. I don't know why. I was like, why am I crying right now? Like, I wasn't like crying, but I definitely, like I said, I was teary-eyed, and I was like, ow, like, that hurt my soul. Why? Why did they do this? Although I knew it was necessary. The second thing that made me pretty emotional at the end of the movie, when it said for Wes, I think everyone that, you know, like, loves Wes Craven definitely felt something. Wes Craven is my favorite director, so that really, like, I don't know, it like made me happy and sad at the same time, and I thought it was cute. I definitely, I mean, I wish that Wes Craven was obviously able to have directed this one. I think it would have been maybe a little bit better, just a little bit. But I think this movie held up very well for him not actually having involvement with it or, you know, directing this one. The gripe that I had was, you know, about something being unrealistic, and what was unrealistic was the Ghostface, the girl that killed Dewey. I don't remember her name because I will admit I don't know why I cannot remember any of the new crew or the new squad in Scream 5. Like, I don't know any of their names. And that's not because, like, the characters were that bad or, you know, not memorable. I just couldn't remember them for whatever reason. So the girl, the best friend, the main character's sister's best friend, her, who was Ghostface. I cannot think of her name. The one that looked sus. She just looked sus. Like, I feel like they did that on purpose. Like, she looked suspicious. But her, she was a little high school girl, and she lifted Dewey off the ground with that blade. And even, like, when because they say at the end of the movie it was her too. Like, it wasn't the other Ghostface. It was her. And it just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know, maybe she's super strong, but, like, Dewey was like a grown man. Like, he was not like some scrawny little boy or anything. And she just lifted him off the ground without any effort at all. It didn't make sense to me. Again, it was not enough to ruin the movie for me, but I just feel like I keep thinking of it. When I think of, like, who Ghostface was, I think of that, and I'm like, I don't know, didn't love that. Like, I feel like they should have just switched who Ghostface was in that moment and made it the guy, and then made her be there instead of the guy, because the boyfriend, who was the other Ghostface, obviously was there when Dewey got killed. So that way, you know, the suspicion was taken off of him. Maybe they did it that way because if he wasn't there, we would know for sure it was him. I don't know, but I wish they switched who was Ghostface in that moment that Dewey died. It just didn't make sense. The other thing was the ending of the movie. I'm not gonna lie. I do think it was predictable that the boyfriend was Ghostface, but I also really liked that. I like that even in Scream the show, hopefully you have watched Scream the show, but in Scream, the original Scream the show, the TV series, the boyfriend was Ghostface. And I love that it's keeping it to the original, and this did feel very true to the original in that sense, but it was a little predictable. Right when the movie started and it showed him, and, you know, he's the love interest, Adrian literally was like, it's him. It's him. Which doesn't make it bad. If anything, he was one of the better, like, he was the better Ghostface for me. I didn't really think it made sense that the sister's best friend was the other Ghostface. Like, it just, I don't know, it was kind of weak for me. The other thing was the motive. I feel like their motive was so weak. I know they kept kind of poking fun at, like, reboot culture and Reddit, and, like, they were trying to make their own reboot, basically. But that's not that great of a motive. Like, I feel like it's the most weak motive we've had in any of the Scream movies, and although that's not enough to ruin it, it could have been better. Like, if this movie actually had a solid reveal, or, like, I liked who Ghostface was better, it might have been my second favorite. I think that it was enough to put it down a notch for me. And that's because I had an idea in my head, like I mentioned, of who Ghostface was going to be. So a lot of people were talking about how Stu, the second Ghostface on the original Scream, might not be dead. When you look back at Scream 1, he did have a TV go over his head. So, like, yes, in theory, he's dead, you know. But it's a horror movie. Horror movies aren't always realistic. And so I know a lot of people were like, it's probably him. It would be so much fun if it's him. Everyone loves Stu and loves Matthew Lillard, who played him. And so I kind of got the idea it was going to be him and his son. I don't know why. I was just like, I feel like it's going to be him and his son, like, getting revenge or something like that along those lines. And it would have been really, really fun. And I know some people are going to be like, you're stupid. He's obviously dead. Fine. Fair enough. That's totally fine. But you cannot deny that the other Ghostface, the boyfriend who was Ghostface, he has an uncanny resemblance to Stu. I feel like he looks like he could have been his son. And so even as the movie got going and he became a suspicious character to me, I literally was like, he looks like Stu. It's Stu's son. And this is going to be so brilliant when they reveal that it's Stu's son. And when it had nothing to do with Stu's son or anything like that, I was a little bit sad. And I feel like they brought so many, like, family members that were related to the original, you know, squad into this movie. And it would have made it tie in, like, perfectly. So that was a little upsetting. I even thought that, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. The girl with the pink hair. The one that was acting a little sussy poo in the movie. I even thought for a minute maybe she's Stu's daughter. Like, she looks like maybe she could resemble him. And again, I was just a little disappointed. And the last thing I didn't really enjoy about the movie, but also enjoyed it at the same time. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw me tweet this. I love Skeet Ulrich, the person who plays Billy Loomis. I absolutely love and adore him. And I mentioned before that I really wanted him to be in Scream. I got my wish. But my wish came with a price. So when I said I wanted him in it, I honestly kind of wanted, like, a little cameo, kind of like they did with Matthew Lillard. I wasn't expecting them to make him Billy because it didn't make sense to me, which they brought Billy back in the best way they could. He was just his daughter's, like, mind playing games with her. He wasn't really there. I liked that it wasn't really him. If it was really him, that would have been stupid. Let's face it. And although I did like the main character being Billy Loomis's daughter, I think it was necessary, you know, like when it showed him at the beginning, kind of like talking to her or whatever. At the end of the movie, though, it became so cheesy and cringy. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I did not like the fact that at the end of the movie, he's almost like rooting her on. Like, almost like he's wanting her to do the right thing and he's proud of her. I didn't like that. Are we forgetting that he's a serial killer and he's crazy? Like, are we forgetting that? Like, don't get me wrong, he is baby boy baby. I love me some Billy Loomis because he is a fine piece of man. But I am not even that deluded to lie to myself and be like, he's a good guy. He's one of the good guys. No, he's not. He was a crazy person. He was crazy. And I just didn't like that they did that. I would have rather done without him being in the movie at all than him at the end, like, smiling at her like he's proud of her. It was cringe-tastic to me. I didn't like it. But again, I did get him in the movie, which I, like, the whole time he, like, came on screen, I was like, that's my baby. I love him. I love Skeet Ulrich. And I could tell it was Skeet Ulrich, too. Like, I could tell they, like, did something with his face, but it was him now. Because he talked, and it was like, that's his voice now. So that was fun. That was exciting. It was cool. But like I said, at what cost? Those are really the only complaints I have. I say as I go on for 5 minutes with complaints. you know, the movie just wasn't perfect to me, which is okay. I didn't expect it to be. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Although, like I said, I had high hopes for it. I did have confidence in it. It was still better than I thought it was going to be. I left the movie with satisfaction, and I actually want to go see it again soon. Hopefully within the week or so I can see it again, because I did like it. I enjoyed it. That's, I guess, all the, you know, points I really had. I don't feel like there's that much more to say about it, but I would love to know your opinions down below. Let me know what you thought of Scream. Please be polite as always. You know, we all are humans and have different opinions, so please respect mine and I will respect yours. If you thought the movie was completely flawless and you loved it and you don't agree with me, that's totally okay. If you hated the movie and thought it sucked and I'm an idiot for liking it, I mean, not the idiot part, but, you know, if you didn't like it, that's okay. Just be respectful, and that is all. I will see you guys on my next video. Have a wonderful night. Bye.